A man was arrested after police find 7 emotional support tigers at his home. Ninja swords have been banned in the UK, and laughing gas appears to be reducing depression, according to scientists. These are the weird stories on Weird AF News, the only daily weird news podcast hosted by a man in a closet. Here we go. I got 3 weird news stories from around the world for you. Oh, yeah. A man has been arrested after 7 tigers were seized on his property. The story is out of Nevada. A man was taken in by police on Wednesday after 7 tigers were seized from his home. The man claims that he owned the tigers and that they were his, quote, emotional support animals. You know, some people will just do anything except therapy, you know. This guy's getting his emotional support from tigers. I don't know what emotion they're supporting. Can anyone guess? Is it rage? The desire for bloodshed? Maybe that's an emotion that he's needs support for. Maybe some sort of victorious emotions when you see your enemies eaten by tigers. Is that the emotion that he wants to support? The officials conducted a raid on this 71-year-old man. His name is Carl Mitchell. Our friend Carl here has had some issues, obviously, having a rough start to 2025. Needs support. 5 tigers couldn't get him through. He needed 7. He needs a tiger for every day of the week. Imagine these poor tigers having to listen to this guy's problems. Now, according to the arrest document, it says they arrested Carl for resisting arrest. That seems strange. Seems like there's other things you could arrest Carl for. My guess is he doesn't only have tigers on his property. Probably a lot of guns, drugs, drug paraphernalia. He's probably a felon. Let's keep reading. I don't want to prejudge. Carl's had a tough year. I've had a tough year, man. Where's my emotional support tiger? We're going for a walk all the way down to City Hall, damn it. They're going to hear about my issues. Carl did not have a special conditions animal permit to own any of these tigers. What a surprise. You got to have one of these as required by Nye County. He violated other rules over the years as well, according to the officials. What a surprise. My guess is if you dig deep, you're going to find some missing trick-or-treaters. The police said that over the years, there have been reports of Carl being seen walking the tigers loose around the property, even off the property in the nearby desert. He just takes his tigers for walks, you know, as one does. There's been social media posts from Carl as well, and people interacting with the tigers, which they say is also a violation because he doesn't have a permit for the tigers. He's just allowing the public to hang out with him and his tigers. What could possibly go wrong with Carl and 7 tigers? In an interview, Carl said he did not need permits because the tigers are his emotional support animals, quote unquote, and that the public is not in any danger from these tigers either. It's so funny to me that people just throw around this emotional support tag on any sort of animal they're not allowed to have or not supposed to bring somewhere. They'll just say, oh, it's my emotional support animal. I can have it. I can bring it to brunch. And that we're all supposed to be like, oh, he's got emotional problems. Let him have his turkey. Let him bring the turkey on the bus. It's his emotional support fowl. No, it's not okay, guys. Can we get on board with this? You're endangering the public with certain animals, and you're endangering the animals in many circumstances because people have animals that they shouldn't. These things are exotic, and they need professional care. Yeah, this isn't just buy some dry food at Costco and throw it in a bowl. Now, Carl also said that he rescued these big cats from the Tiger King Joe Exotic. You guys familiar with the Tiger King Joe Exotic? We saw that series, did we not, during the pandemic? That guy was out of his mind as well. Something about tiger people. They just can't seem to just operate normally in the world. And they often believe that the rules and laws just don't apply to them for some reason. Now, if you don't know, Joe Exotic, the star of that Netflix series, is currently serving a 21-year sentence in prison. Now, Carl Mitchell, our buddy here, initially accompanied the deputies who were walking around his property during the raid. But Carl, of course, wasn't completely cooperative. He refused to hand the keys over that go to the tiger cages so that a veterinarian and wildlife refuge worker could inspect and take custody of them, according to the sheriff's office. The 7 tigers were seized from Carl's home and evaluated by a veterinarian who was on site during their removal. The big cats will be taken to an undisclosed sanctuary where they will be held until ordered to be released. There's a bit of history between Carl and the county. Court documents filed as recently as 2020 show back and forth between Carl and the county, including the county asking Carl to move animals from his property, and lawsuits that he filed in response, asking for $1 million in damages. Carl's lawsuit claims that the county was intentionally interfering with his private life and causing him distress due to the threat of the county taking what the county has recognized as their emotional support animals. He's been on this emotional support label for a while, but then he didn't get the proper permits in the first place. You don't get to break laws and then chalk it up as emotional support. Carl was charged with resisting a peace officer during the seizure of the animals and booked into the detention center. Deputies also found a handgun in Carl's possession, triggering a charge of possession of a gun by a prohibited person because he is a convicted felon. Great. Of course he is. I could have guessed that. The county says that more charges probably will be filed against Carl in the near future, adding that the animals taken from his property appeared to be visibly underweight. Some of their water dishes had algae growing in them, so wasn't really treating his emotional support animals with the utmost care, as you can guess. I would recommend a thorough search of Carl's property because you might find some skeletons of hunger support humans that were fed to the tigers. Right? I mean, hey, you can't be too careful, guys. A new law will prohibit the sale and ownership of ninja swords. This story is out of the UK. Ronan Kanda, age 16, was killed by a ninja sword yards away from his home in 2022, sadly. Now, the final part of what's being called Ronan's Law will make it actually illegal to possess, sell, make, or import ninja swords. All right, we need to probably define what a ninja sword is. Are they talking about, what are they, katanas? Something like that? There's samurai swords, right? We're all familiar with those. And then there's ninja swords. I think they're a little shorter. You should probably ban all swords. It's my guess. I don't know. Let's just keep reading and find out what they're doing and why. A law banning ninja swords is set to come into force by summer after a relentless campaign by the family of this murdered teenager. The sad incident took place in Wolverhampton. And it seems now the final part of what's being called Ronan's Law, a series of anti-knife crime measures, will make it illegal to possess, sell, make, or import ninja swords starting August 1st. So if you got some ninja swords over there, you might want to think about removing them, turning them in, maybe melt them down and turn them into some cool bling. The ban will be presented before Parliament and will come into force in the summer once it has gained approval. The child's mother is quoted here saying, "Since losing our beautiful boy Ronan, we've relentlessly campaigned for a ban on these ninja swords, the lethal weapon which took his life. We believe ninja swords have no place in our society other than to seriously harm and kill." Yeah, I mean, that's debatable, but also you're living in Europe, right? So kind of known for their medieval swords, which I assume are all over the place. So you should probably ban those. The long sword, the broadsword. Have you seen a claymore? Those are deadly looking. A rapier, a two-handed sword. I mean, out of control. I mean, might as well throw lances in there while you're at it. All of these weaponries are over there, from my understanding. I mean, my point is, if you ban one type of sword, it doesn't preclude that others won't get a hold of an alternate blade, like a scimitar. Have you seen those curvy ones? Those look scary. It says anyone caught with a ninja sword in private could face 6 months in prison, which could increase to 2 years under these new plans. The weapons can be handed over in knife surrender bins in local police stations under a surrender scheme that's going to begin in July. So right before the ban takes place, you can dump your ninja sword in a bin. It's a strange invention, a ninja sword bin. Never thought I would even say that phrase before. It says here it also covers other illegal blades, such as zombie knives. I'm not sure what a zombie knife is. Where are they getting these terms? Are they just reading comic books and picking out weapons that they find and putting them in the law? Zombie knives. Does anyone know what that is? Anyone got one? You're going to make Rambo knives illegal as well? You guys remember the Rambo knife? That was a popular item. They got a quote here from Home Secretary Yvette Cooper, who says, "We are acting with urgency to bring forward measures to prevent deadly weapons from getting into the wrong hands, and will continue to do whatever's needed to prevent young people being killed on our streets as part of our mission to have knife crime over the next decade." They want to bring down knife crime. Knife crime is big over there in the UK, right? Because there's not as many guns. In the States, we got the gun crime. Over there, they got the knife crime. Well, and then, apparently ninja sword crime, zombie knife crime. There's no doubt going to be pushback against this, I'd imagine. You're going to get the same campaigns you see over here. Ninja swords don't kill people, man. Ninjas do, all right? So why don't you just ban ninjas while you're at it? Now, Patrick Green is now in our story, who is backing this ban. This guy's got some pull. He's got opinions, too, because they're like buttholes. These weapons with no practical purpose beyond violence are simply instruments of war and have absolutely no place in our society or on our streets. Well, I mean, I would give pushback on that. They do have practical purposes beyond violence. People collect these things. They're collector's items. People are into LARPing. Are you familiar with LARPing? I just saw on Instagram a friend of mine's taking like a sword class. And I asked her, "Are you going to get into LARPing?" She's like, "I'm thinking about it." So there are practical purposes outside of this. I agree, though. They have no place on the streets. Get them off the streets. If you want to own one in the privacy of your own home, I don't see the big deal. And banning them isn't going to prevent people who want to hurt other people from finding a way to get some sort of sharp object. It could be a kitchen knife. It could be sharp, pointy sticks. You could murder someone with a sharp, pointy stick. Did you know this? This is always what happens. This is the problem with laws and lawmakers. It's always reactionary. It's never proactive. They never can look down the road and prevent things. They always just have some sort of jerk reaction to what just happened, and then they concentrate on the details of that action only. And then they make a law about that without the foresight to see that these things are nuanced. Very much so. It's like here's a perfect example. In the States, when you got to put your sneakers in the bin, when you're going through TSA to get on a plane, because one guy tried to light his sneakers on fire. Now we're all got to put our sneakers in the bin. Instead of let's think about other ways in which someone could light a piece of clothing on fire. Let's, we're just going to put our sneakers in the bin and all rest easy? I don't think so. If someone wants to do some nefarious stuff on a plane, they're going to find a way. You need to think outside the box. What are the other possible ways that somebody could take down an aircraft? And let's, put some sort of safeguards around those things. No, but they don't do that. It's like this ninja sword thing. They're going to be like, "No, we fixed the problem. We banned ninja swords and zombie knives. So we're good. And it's because lawmakers they have no foresight. They're actually not the smartest people in the culture by any means, which is sad. And they're lazy. All of the qualities that you don't want in the committees and bodies of people that are, tinkering with the buttons of culture. I should probably get off my soapbox again. I'm so sorry. I get into these places, I just, because I see that it doesn't have to be this way. Suffering. We could actually solve the problems, but we don't. So, I don't know. Guinness, anyone? Meet me at the pub.
The NBA playoffs are here, and I'm getting my bets in on FanDuel. Talk to me, Chuck GPT. What do you know?
All sorts of interesting stuff, even Charles Barkley's greatest fear.
Hey, nobody needs to know that.
New customers bet $5 to get $250 in bonus bets if you win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.
21 plus and present in Virginia. Must be first online real money wager. $5 deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Laughing gas reduces depression, but scientists don't totally understand why. It's the sound of science. We have here a story about laughing gas treating depression. Scientists aren't sure why. I mean, my take on that is, isn't it obvious? Laughter has always been the best medicine. It's in the name, guys. And I'm a professional laugh inducer, so I can also tell you that I'm contributing to bringing down depression as well. I like to think that anyways, that has sort of been my mission in life. Kind of a noble thing to do with one's life, just dedicated to getting laughs. I don't always come through, but I do my best. This article begins by saying most anesthetics calm the brain, then the effects of the anesthetic fade away. But this one flips a switch. Those cells start firing like crazy, and they keep going even after the laughing gas is gone. According to researchers, this was a total surprise. Now, as they often do, they tested this on mice. My question is, where do they find all these depressed mice all the time? They're always testing, depression-related drugs on mice. They're getting depressed mice. I don't know from where. All the mice I've seen have been very happy with their lives. It says here the mice became more active and sipped sugar water, something they really enjoy. The nitrous oxide, aka laughing gas, seemingly blocks certain channels in the brain that usually silence the neurons. Those cells remain activated, stimulating the surrounding brain circuit into a more, quote, energized state, making the mice less depressed, more excited. They went online, started to buy Coachella tickets. We got a researcher here named Dr. Peter Nagel from the University of Chicago. This nerd has been conducting research on nitrous oxide and depression for a while now. He's got a handle on it, it sounds. He says nitrous oxide, a laughing gas, helps reactive neural circuits dulled by stress and depression without needing to form entirely new brain connections. So it sounds like something we already knew. Laughing gas makes you less depressed. It's hard to believe that they're throwing a lot of money at this. I could have told you already. Here's a study you don't even have to get into or spend money on. I'll just tell you this also. Water slides also make us smile. You ever seen anybody frowning as they go down a water slide? I don't think you have. So when you're on a water slide or a lazy river, let's say, less depressed. I'm not a therapist, but, if I ever was, I would be a little averse to prescribing pills for things. Although I am a supporter of chemicals for good times and whatnot, but I would prescribe real life experiences to cheer people up. Like I would be like a day at the water park. That's going to do you good. How about you go to karaoke this weekend? That's what I prescribed. Bring me in several songs. You're going to sing them in front of me. I'll tell you which ones are acceptable to be sang in public. In case they're not a very good singer, maybe I even prescribe a little short singing lesson for them. Get them out there. Make them feel confident to sing karaoke. In other words, good times for all, guys. That's what I would prescribe. And then sometimes maybe add chemicals on top of it. What's wrong with a little bit of ketamine at the concert? Nothing wrong with that, right? Okay. Now, as you know, laughing gas doesn't come in pill form. Maybe you didn't know that. It's right in the title. It's gas. People have to see a provider trained to administer the gas at antidepressant levels. More research into how long the positive effects of laughing gas last on the mice and whether it has the potential to rewire the brain is actually needed. But my thing is there's other chemicals that are just as effective but don't do as much damage. Nitrous oxide can really debilitate you if you overdo it. It can cause severe nerve damage. A whiskey sour and some cannabis, on the other hand, you're going to live a little longer on it. I would also add studies about low dosage of psilocybin mushrooms have been coming up pretty fruitful in these departments as well. It says nitrous oxide abuse, commonly known as doing whippets, is on the rise. More than 13 million in the United States have misused nitrous oxide in their lifetimes, according to a 2023 national survey on drug use. Fatal nitrous oxide poisonings shot up by 110% in the last 5 years, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Well, I did not know that. In fact, it says here, last month, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration put out an advisory warning people not to inhale nitrous oxide products that can lead to blood clots, asphyxiation, and death. It seems part of the problem is these products have been available to purchase pretty easily on Amazon, eBay, and Walmart, and smoke shops and gas stations under a variety of names, including Baking Bad, Cosmic Gas, Galaxy Gas, Hot Whip, Infusion Max, Mass Gas, Miami Magic, and Whip It. And that problem comes along, you must whip it. Well, I had no idea about these products being sold at places like gas stations. I wouldn't trust these. You can get nitrous balloons at certain parties and gatherings and festivals. It's not as common to see the balloons here in the States, but I know in Europe and when I was in Asia, actually in Bangkok, you could actually buy those at the bar. You could buy laughing gas balloons in Bangkok. It was like people holding signs to come into their bar advertising. We have laughing gas. We have cannabis. We have shots. We have this. It's crazy. And if you don't believe me, just Google some photos of a place called Khao San Road in Bangkok. Now, laughing gas used to be associated with dentistry. People used to get the gas. I've never in my whole life gotten laughing gas when I went to the dentist. I get the Novocaine. I mean, it's not for lack of trying. I always ask for the gas. Please, could I have some gas? And they're like, Mr. Jones, you're here for a cleaning. I say, I know that, but I'd like some gas. I mean, I'll throw in an extra $20.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. It's tax season, and we're all a bit tired of numbers. But here's one you need to hear. $16.5 billion. That's how much the IRS flagged for possible identity fraud last year. Now here's a good number. 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it. Guaranteed. Save up to 40% your first year at LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
Hello, my friends. How are you? This is your host, Jonesy. Thanks for joining me for this episode of Weird AF News. Appreciate your time. We'll keep it brief in the outro here. I want to give thanks to Frank E. Miller Jr. Frank E. Miller Jr. bought me some coffees off my website, weirdafnews.com. That's a place you can go for all sorts of things. You can listen to the show. You can join the Patreon. You can send me an email. Frank wrote me a little note when he bought me a coffee. It says, "Hey, Jonesy, my soul has been revived by Father Randy Savage." That impersonation was incredible. It made my day. Good luck with your life, brother. Oh, Frank E. Miller likes my Randy Savage. Is that right, Frank? Well, I can tell right now, brother, you're not one of those pukesters that I was talking about. No, you ain't no pukester, Frank Miller. You got class. You got taste. That's right. The Jonesy man tells you like it is, Frank. I ain't afraid to put my neck out there, Frank. No, I'm not. I do it every day. And if no one likes it, I tell them what to do. I tell them where to go. I tell them, you know what, you take a long walk on a short pier, you pukester. That's right. That's why I'm the greatest. Anyways, it's always fun to do a Randy Savage impression. The problem is it pops blood cells in my forehead. Veins in my, I meant to say veins. It bursts veins in my forehead, I think. Anyways, thanks, Frank, for pointing out one of my stupid skills. It's something I'm proud of. Anyways, if you're like Frank E. Miller Jr., he's a very supportive individual, and you'd like to buy me a coffee, go to buymeacoffee.com/funnyjones or go to weirdafnews.com. We'll see you tomorrow. Do another episode. If you want to send me a story that you think is appropriate for the show, my email is funnyjones@gmail.com. I'm also on Instagram @funnyjones. Okay, we'll see you, and good luck with your life, man.